Week 2 of Goose Summer Tour brought deeper cuts, unexpected segues, and evolving set list narratives as the band continued to stretch out across new sonic territory. From tour debuts to fan favorites, the shows this week proved Goose is playing with renewed confidence and creativity. Let's break it down. The highlights, the rarities, and the moments that have everyone talking. We ended up with 4 shows this week, 2 indoor at some of the smaller venues from tour, and 2 outdoor at probably the largest venue on tour. Let's jump in. But first, if you haven't yet, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're watching this later, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Tuesday night saw Goose in Vegas. This is the 3rd time they played there. Back in 22, they played, and if you remember, they had some Elvis impersonators come out and an Elvis impersonator sing a song with them, which is a really neat idea. Then in 23, I believe it was October of 23, when they did that 20-plus minute Elizabeth to open the second set. So expectations were a little bit high, and the band really did deliver. The first set highlights the Salt. It's the first time opening a show. It's their 12th performance overall of this one. And while not as strong as the Masonic version, it seemed to fit well as the opener, giving the band enough time to stretch their legs. It was followed by Iguana song, by far the longest version of this they've ever played. The ending Achilles Jam continues to deliver. Here, given lots of extra space to develop before landing in Whip It. Only 3 minutes long, only the 8th time played. Last time played last November back at the Anthem. Fun. It was a great little exclamation point, I guess, out of that chaos of that Iguana song, Achilles Jam. Next up was Your Ocean. It feels, I don't know, it feels like every version of this song to me is interchangeable. It functions as a palate cleanser in the middle of the set before we get to the real meat of the set. First set. Draconian meter Maid is really settled into a solid and reliable vehicle that sits outside the normal Goose box, even as it tends toward Bliss jams. Went into a beautiful old man's boat. 32 show absence. They really covered a lot of ground in this and very gently landed it into Atlas Dog. Atlas Dogs tend to either go 7 or 14 minutes. This was the shorter 7-minute version of it, but that's okay because it left plenty of room for a set closing Big Modern. And third one this tour, Big Modern is their tweezer. It's the one that people are going to look back on in 10 years and be like, what's the greatest one? What is the Mount Rushmore of Big Moderns? This was another incredible version. After the Dylan-esque rap of the lyrics, the heavier parts of the song really show a growth of the band. Perhaps after that Westville Rockdale that I keep referencing, it seems maybe their balls dropped. Fantastic. Absolutely love what they're doing. This one was finished. If you remember back in San Francisco, they did the split one over 2 nights. I would much rather have it as a single thing to close a set. It's a really fantastic way. But on the other hand, when they've done it earlier in a set, it just opens up to anywhere they want to go, anywhere Rick wants to steer them for that night. All right, let's get into set 2. This Into the Myst, solid 15-minute version. You know, it stands firmly in the territory that was mapped out in 2024, and they let go of the song proper and decided to not return. Instead of finding their way to what is becoming the star of summer 2025, Dustin Hoffman, with its 70 rock and roll vibe they channel here, and on Big Modern to some extent. It's really Welcome to Me. Maybe it's bringing Cotter in that has that. He is a different drummer than Ben Atkin was. It speaks to me more than the more indie sounds from the Dripfield LP, what they're doing on this last LP. It's a little funky, a little yachty, and was a perfect prelude to Jive 2 and Jive Lee. I would slash them, arrow them. first performance of Jive Lee since Jeb left the band, and it was unfinished. Went into Bob Don, which had a little brief outro jam that before they closed the set with You Spin Me Round, which is the first time again performed without Jeb. Really solid version. They stretched it out to 12 minutes, allowed themselves to find some spaces and work through it organically. They encored with a Lovelight. Always welcome. We love Lovelight. Bobby Blue Bland, we're looking at you, kid. All right, let's move on to the next night. Not that far of a drive from Las Vegas to Phoenix, Arizona for a first-time performance at this venue for the band. Hot Love and the Lazy Poet opened up, third time this tour. It's a fun song, and it's provides a little bit of a contrast to, say, the previous night's opener and what we got on Friday night, in that it was only 7 minutes. It's a compact song, and they left the stretching out to the second song of the set, Turn Clouds. Second appearance this tour. Got 11 minutes in. Enough room for them to do a little bit exploring without getting too far out there, which they save for Time to Flee. Tour debut. A fantastic version of Flea. Just loved where they were going with this. And it seemed like it had unlimited potential when they dropped into Wales, which was also a tour debut, and then go back to finishing Flea, only a minute. Only the fourth time Flea's ever been split. We got back-to-back Peter tunes. Really just probably the highlight of the set for me there. Seekers 1 and 2. It's the second time they played this tour. It's a nice cool down. I know that some people are not big fans of either one or both parts of it, but solid. Definitely solid. Then we got a huge Hungersite, third performance of the tour. This is the longest version ever, or damn close, and it held to its basic form for a while before finally finding some extended spaces. Led by Peter. Peter was the star probably of the set, with the interplay between Trevor and Cotter allowing Rick to weave in several moods. Definitely worth checking out. Definitely something I'd throw on a best of tour compilation. All right, set 2 opened up with Wysteria Lane. Second one this tour. Plenty of room to explore before landing in Tomorrow Never Knows, which is probably my most liked and most hated song on this set list. It's been a 50-show gap since they had played it, but the vocal effect that Rick is using, what are you doing, dude? Just mumble your way through it or something there. You don't need to use that vocal effect. You aren't the Beatles up there trying to recreate this live. Just roll with the dirtiness of the song. And there's my commentary. Slow Ready. Out of the Tomorrow Never Knows second performance this tour. Again, another 15 solid minutes. And then Dripfield. So Hungersite and Dripfield, 2 of the songs off the indie album, which, like I said, not that big of a fan of. Got into some really heavy spaces and some excellent, transcendent, arguably who's improv from Rick. I guess the thing with Hungersite and Dripfield and Born is they're sweet. There's some interconnected. They are all on the album together. And that album, I feel like they drifted a little bit. I know people are huge on it, but compared to this new one, it's like listening to Big Boat versus Sigma Oasis or something, that for me. Then they hit that encore of The Way It Is, and we are off to Denver. Goose loves Denver, and Denver loves Goose. And I tell you what, this may be the one that you want to listen to almost every moment. There was a little shortchange in there at one point, but beyond that, almost a perfect show for this band, and perhaps the best show they ever played. They opened up with a 20-minute drive. Drive seems to have found a home in the opening slot. It's the second this tour, and I think the last 4 drives were all openers. This one, though, had some new lyrics, a slightly different arrangement that had been shelved for the past few years, and it really opened up about halfway through at the 10 to 11 minute mark, and then blew past 20 minutes for the first time since February, landing in How It Ends. Now, how it ends, I liked it the other night because they did it out of the two unfinished tunes, which I think a drive was part of that too. Um, I don't know. Since its revival in Mexico this year, it's become a safe space. I feel like to land for a jam song. And tonight was the third of this tour. I like it better in Spokane, but the instrumental section at the end is more interesting than a standard Bliss jam and was a bit longer than the last few. Look for at least 3, not 4 more trips for this one before tour ends. And then we get a bust out. Susie Q, first time played this Dale Hawkins classic that was covered by CCR, was short. Feel like they really played it safe because it's such an easy vehicle to vamp and jam on. I'm really hoping in the future that it gets a big spin. I could see it eating up a bunch of real estate in a set and allowing them some opportunities that maybe they don't get because they don't dabble in the rockabilly era, in the rockabilly scene that much. And it kind of fits them well. Turbulence popped up again for the second time this tour. I love it. I thought that this was a great place for it. Is the Sunset song with its lizard-esque little jam at the end. Perfect placement for it. Not so much about, I don't know what the story is. I don't get what the lyrics are talking about, but hey, good for them. I felt like if I was there, I would have been like, that's really satisfying. And then we got into Indian River, which hasn't been played in 40 shows going back to the end of last October. The first without Jeff, and a return of the Sanskrit verse for the first time in close to 4 years. But it was only 10 minutes long, which I feel like is a trend we're going to get. When we get into the second set, we'll see the Fast Echo was kind of short too, where maybe they're leaving behind some of these older, I don't know, metaphysical. I don't know what to call them, but something about them just makes me feel like the 12 Tribes bus is going to be pulling up around the side if you don't look. So I'm glad that it's a little shorter, and I'm glad that they gave the more time to Animal. It was the third one this tour, but it's become one of their most reliable vehicles, and it worked out really nice to close the set. For me, the most coherent set of the tour to this point, and every song seemed to have a purpose in its placement. Plus, they kept it fresh with the rearrangements and the lyrics. Then set 2. Set 2 is one of those sets that I probably would have sought out the tape back in the old days and it would have lived in the glove box. This Tumble, the second the tour, got a few Spokane repeats here, I feel like. But anyway, Tumble, second this tour, back in double digits after the last 2 that clocked in under 10 minutes, had a spacious jam that hit several different moods with even a bit of a spacey outro. Spent a good chunk of the time in the funk, and they didn't finish it. So look for maybe that tonight. Into Factory Fiction. Wow. By the time Factory Fiction was over, we'd hit a full 40 minutes. And with the next song, AIOU, it would be about 46. So you might be able to squeeze that on a tape. You might be able to. But this Factory Fiction, just such an excellent choice. I don't know why this song doesn't get played more. It provided a little rock and roll to clean the palette. It's the first this tour, been a 20-show gap. Got a little lowrider tease in there from Rick. And after the song proper, they dropped back into the same spacey jam from before, and it showed a real level of maturity for me. Just letting it breathe for a minute before landing in AEIOU. A simply fantastic tune and one of the most perfect covers I think that Rick has chosen to do. It made so much sense seeing where Factory Fiction revolved. It's the first this tour, only the 11th all time. It's got such a great lyric. I'm glad to see it getting played once a tour or so. It's a really, really good cool down song. And then we got Echo. This was a fast version. It seems to be the standard these days. If they play it 7 times, 6 of them are probably going to be the fast version. Short in what would be the song's first half bookending Psycho Killer. 4th time this has popped up. 3rd time with Carter on Vox. first this year, short but sweet, before they went back into Echo and revisited some of the themes from earlier in the set with both a tumble and fiction feel to it. It really benefited from the extended take. And again, we ended up in a short, spacey bridge, which seemed to be the theme tonight, letting them enter and exit songs. Here, leaving the second part of Echo and still not finishing there to complete Factory Fiction. And they played Factory Fiction for another 13 minutes for a total of almost 30 minutes of Factory Fiction in this set. And it wasn't just the little ending like they did with Flea. It was full on rumbling jam, hard and dirty, on the verge of falling apart before dropping back on a dime. Simply fantastic stuff from them. If you're not a Goose fan and you're watching this, I don't know why you're watching it if you're not a Goose fan, but if you are, check this out. It really, again, they showed a level of maturity tonight that I feel like it's been there under the surface, but totally was out for everybody to see tonight. And it really, this punctuated the theme that seemed to run through the night of doing something that's a little bit dirty, a little more rock and roll, and not blissed out all the time. Arcadia, to close the set, if you think about the last one they did, it was a lot. It was short. It was a great way to close that set in San Francisco. But this one, the second this tour, is just, it solidifies their desire to use it as an encore for me, because this one was fully fleshed out, got all over the place. Every night this tour, they seem to have learned something new, and this probably is the best Goose lineup ever. Now let's check out the final night in Denver. Maybe it was a little bit of a hangover tonight, but what are you going to do after a Friday night like that in Denver? I guess you're going to call Trevor Weeks. Good show tonight. They opened up with Your Direction, another one of the new ones that's getting a lot of plays. Tonight was the fifth since its first at Jazz Fest, if you can follow that, earlier this year. It's very floaty, very airy, and interesting way to open the set. It opened up nicely. It left everyone space to explore before landing in Torero. Another new one that is at 2 on the tour. Again, not as expansive as the first one they did in Mexico, but still a great second half to a 1-2 30-minute punch to open the set. I love the dual guitars, you know that. Consumed By, this Ellis tune hasn't really lived up to its potential. After showing us a little something in Idaho, we regressed with this version, and it seemed almost like an afterthought, which led to the ballad Western Sun, which was paired in Idaho with Consumed, interestingly. But we only got half the time that we got in Idaho. It gave up the ghost early for Rockdale, which gave up the ghost early for, Rockdale, it's a workhorse. It made its third appearance this tour and was unfinished. And one of many songs tonight I felt shortchanged, almost like they wanted to do too much instead of working with what was in front of them. The ending was pretty explosive, and it led to Dustin Hoffman, the third one this tour. It's nice to see this in Torero getting different placements in the set. Another solid version. This is one of those songs that's truly living up to its potential. It's the first time it ended up in the first set, and I felt like Peter was the one pushing this one. There was a little bit of Thatch in there, but they held their course and they stayed within the psychedelic confines of its midnight cowboy persona. It rides hard, and I thought it was going to be the set closer, but it didn't. Cotter really shines on this one, maybe because it was created in his era. Maybe it's the straight ahead groove that he can conjure. At only 17 minutes, I feel like it left a little on the table for Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill. I'm not really good on the 80s songs. Stop doing the 80s songs, guys. You have so many other covers that you can pull from and so much other music. If you live through the 80s, you don't want the 80s covers, trust me. I don't know if anybody remembers the video for Running Uphill, but it involved interpretive dancing. And this version just kind of danced back to Myst, which finished the 6-3 version, I guess. But, it was really just the ending. It felt like this first set, they were a little distracted, maybe a little hungover musically from the night before and what they did. But overall, a solid first set. Then the second set awaited. Big Modern opened up, second one this week, third this tour. I just love this one as much as Dustin Hoffman because they're batting 1,000 and the band is way into them, which makes for a much better set than feeling like, oh, we have to play a Western Sun again, or, people are expecting this from us. They dropped this 20 times since last September, and it's already earned legendary status within the Goose canon in that short span. About 17 minutes into this one, they let it all fall out with Trevor and Cotter locking in and Peter providing a nice bed for Rick to gently caress in fast, slow, which hits 17 minutes. It's, if you want to do 80s stuff, do the fast, slow, I guess, okay? It's the first this tour. It's only the second since Mexico. My issue with this one is the goddamn voice coder. Somebody needs to spill a glass of water on that thing or something. And it kind of just makes the song a no-go for me, even though, it's a shame because I like the New Order, Depeche Mode vibe. I like the potential that it has, but I don't know. Anyway, we led from one of the newest songs to one of the oldest, Creatures. Second one this tour came in. It was a great choice, I feel like, out of Fast Slow. They hit a similar groove. The added bonus of Peter on the guitar for part of it. It hit a nice section about 9 minutes in, and Peter had retreated to the keys. It built into this pseudo surf rock kind of thing. I feel like Rick maybe understands the Turkish modes or something that Dick Dale always talked about when he was writing his surf music. And it led up to a sublime reading of Nina Simone's Sinner Man. If you're going to do a cover, pick something out of the box like this. I feel like you really owned it. It was the first since Jazz Fest. It's such a great placement in this set. And, it ended there. Okay, so what do you do at this point? Do you bring back Rockdale? Do you bring back Big Modern? What do you do? No, you throw out a brand new to Goose tune called Jed Stone that is a really old tune from Vasudo making its first appearance, and it's a story song. So, like Catfish John, something the band would have done, and it seemed a little bit redundant at this point after we got the beautiful Sinner Man. And I feel like it robbed the set of some energy. But, it did redeem itself. The solo in it was fantastic, but then they ended the set with it, which was just so strange. I don't know. I expected Big Modern to bookend the set, honestly. They closed it out with Organos. It was the first of this tour, and it did the same thing as Arcadia last night. It worked in that same thing. I feel like it's a good spot for it going forward. Maybe like some of the older songs, that's where they go. You give them the 15 minutes in the encore, but you don't have to put them in the middle of a set where you're interested in pushing the band forward and doing all these new songs, which I really love that if that's the trend. There's a bunch of the older songs that are just questionable to me. I don't know. What can you do? That's what kept me away for a while. That's why I decided to go all in, and I'm 9 out of 10 shows I've watched. So we got 5 coming up next week. 2 festy sets, Bonnaroo, all good. Up the street from me. I probably will not be there, but thank you for watching. Leave a comment. Think about liking, subscribing. If you want to become a member, we do a bunch of members only stuff, Monday morning show, things like that. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long. We'll see you soon.